Hi, it's Kent and Renee Miller, and today we're going to be starting with Chapter 5 of the Augmentation of Man, a study in Renaissance.
And we're going to be speaking about, which we have in our lectures, truth and perception.
And so, how do we find truth in this world of chaos and fighting and war?
The truth is dead. It is absolutely dead. And those that are looking for it are the only ones that are going to be rewarded in the end if you find it.
So we're going to discuss how it relates to today's events, and we're starting with Chapter 5, pages 99 through 104.
And the problem is, how do we recognize truth? Everything that's going on, how do you know what's true and what isn't?
It is very hard to find the truth today. And what we're being told is what we see going on is not really what is going on spiritually speaking. So we're going to help try to bring some clarity to this subject today.
Okay, we used to live in somewhat of a truth, and we've lost that ability. What are we willing to accept? Is that the truth?
So we're being told that humanity has missed the mark as far as sticking to the truth based on what, first of all, what we're willing to accept as truth.
Yeah, that's understanding. What we think we understand. Vibrationally, when we talk about vibration, many humans don't know what vibration is. And only those that are beginning to understand will understand a little bit about how vibration works in our conceptual understanding. But do we get to truth? In what direction is the truth? There are universal laws concerning truth. And we have lost our way following universal laws. So we make up our own laws.
And so what we're being told is that for any society to continue to progress and to survive, that we must stick with universal laws. We must be aligned to universal laws, and that involves understanding truth, but we will never get all of the truth. We are on a journey of finding more expansive levels of truth. And so we need to continue on that journey of finding a higher and higher truth in order for humanity to continue.
Yeah, well, there are many agendas going on today. And where we can find truth, when we think we can find truth, humanity wants a return. Well, what's in it for me? Well, that is not the truth. So therefore, truth is an unseen thing right now, because people are going on their own agenda and making up issues that don't really exist except in their own mind.
So we have a lot of hidden agendas right now. We don't necessarily open our minds to what truth can be.
Yeah, things are not what they see.
We're narrowing our own perceptions, and so we're closing off the opportunity to see a deeper level of truth. And so we need to start thinking about opening our minds. We need to kind of wipe that programming that we have gotten throughout our lives, wipe that hard drive clean, and then start asking some very important questions.
Asking questions. Just asking questions to finding what the real truth is.
So it's when we have the who, what, when, where, why answered that will lead us to the ultimate truth. And that involves looking at each event from different angles. And that's called angular learning.
Right. And when we look at an event to try to find the truth of the event, we have to look deeper than just the superficial aspect of it. And then we'll find the truth. And the truth is not a return to the individual. There's not a surprise package in there, but the absolute truth which you can handle and begin to understand.
So the chaos and the anxiety and the fighting that exists today are evidence of the misperception that exists throughout all the societies. So that is really the gauge that we're looking at for where we are on our truth barometer.
Turning inward to yourself to look for your own truth, and then you can look for truth outside that. If you don't face your own truth, there's no way you can find the truth outside of yourself.
So that is part of it, you know, knowing who we are on our soul level, and then being able to open up to what's going on as far as events within our parameters, within our lives. So we also have to look at some of the legends that we have carried on. We pass them on from one generation to the next, almost like we're passing on our DNA.
The Minotaur. Huh?
And so the book mentions an example of the Minotaur. And so...
and that was half human, half bull, or half beast.
And so in this story, the Minotaur is kept out in the garden and is fed, I think it was children. Actually, or something like that. So we had this fear of this beast. And in reality, when we really look at it, it just doesn't exist.
Well, it doesn't exist as we perceive it. They would threaten children. Children would be bad, and they said the Minotaur is going to get you if you don't do something. Well, we perceive the Minotaur to be a specific thing in what they did. And the Minotaur wasn't that specific item that we placed on it as humans and pass it down from generation to generation. So we tend to fear things that really don't exist to get our way. And then you implement or you implant that idea into the next generation.
Right, and it can be used for effort of controlling population. And so just draw the parallel to other aspects of our life. You know, in our society today, we don't believe in a Minotaur, but what do we believe in that really does not exist?
Yeah, it has to make sense. When we ask a question, what do we believe in? What is the truth? If it doesn't make sense, it probably isn't.
And so why do we keep propagating the untruths? And part of that exists because there's a certain level of excitement associated with what we are passing on. And so we tend to hold on to something that's more of a perception of excitement than the truth, which may kind of look boring.
Yeah, the legends continue on for almost forever. Truth fades away.
Yes, and that's part of where we're at today. So our misperceptions are also wrapped up in our ego and perception of self-worth. And so in the universe of understanding, self-worth is only related to our ability to assimilate a higher level of understanding and to pass that understanding on to others. That increases your self-worth. In our society, it has to do with what we own, our positions at work, our power, levels of power, our level of prosperity,
controlling
our how much money we have. All these things are very a false narrative to our true self-worth.
Well, let's go into what makes a dictator, which is also in this chapter.
And it also has to do with self-worth, although it sounds kind of disjointed, but it does really.
As a child.
So a developing dictator starts as a child who feels as though they have been slighted, that they've been forgotten. And so this starts to develop a magnified ego that starts to really develop within this developing child. And they have this need to satisfy a false perception of self-worth. And so that's a part of the ego. I want to be somebody. And so this is a very magnified vibrational output that these people are putting out, and they tend to find positions where they can rise up into a position of power.
Yeah, whether you control 5 people, whether you control 500 or 5,000 or 500,000, you want to control, and you're trying to fill your own need by controlling others.
Right, and so we're being told that today there's a lot of people who actually fit into this description, but because
all aspects of life.
Yeah, but because of the cycle ending and a new cycle beginning, that this process is going to be shortened for a lot of people. So we're going to see that a lot of these would-be dictators just don't make it to that final goal of being able to control a society.
Yeah.
So it's a 3-pronged thing. It is this person who is, as a child, feeling like they'd been forgotten, that they have this magnified sense of misperception of self-worth, and this need to fulfill their ego. As they rise to a position of power, then they start to gain an audience, and these innocent people start to project their own feeling of, I want to be somebody, vicariously through
the person
in charge.
Yeah.
And so in doing so, what they're doing is they're sending this person a level of their own energy. And you magnify that by the amount of people that are doing this. The innocent people, they're not doing it in a nefarious way. It's the lack of understanding.
Most are not.
Living vicariously through someone else. This could be for anybody. We see this in our sports today, where people are living vicariously through, a certain football player or what have you.
Soccer player, you name it. Yeah.
Yes.
Because they can't do it on their own, so they live through another person who's been out on the field doing all the work. Or in a corporate level, in a fire department, and you can name many things. They look at the person ahead and they said, I want to be like that person, but they don't really go forward to be that, to take that position.
And so they're living vicariously through someone else, but in the process, sending that person some of their energy. Yeah. And so it's boosting the energy of that developing dictator. So the third prong of this is that this outrageous ego starts to attract an entity who is influencing the thoughts in a negative way of that dictator.
Well, yeah, and you see it as negative.
Yeah, so that's when the societal atrocities start to begin. That's when you see a shift in behavior.
That's when Pol Pot and Hitler, these different things, want to start killing people by the millions.
Yeah, and so when you see a shift in the behavior to very negative things that occur in society, that is when you see that behind the scenes, this dictator is being influenced by an entity in a very negative way.
That's the extreme point of control when a human gets to that level. So with that, we've been talking about perception.
We should probably address, though, before we leave the dictator subject, how do we prevent this? And so we never want to live vicariously through another person. We never want to divulge that much energy to support another person. And we always want to be with our minds open and always keeping others in power in check, but giving them the benefit of the doubt, but making sure that we are also carefully watching. And make your own pathway. Stop living vicariously through someone else and be the person that you ultimately want to be.
So we are basing everything on perception because man has lived in perception for thousands of years. And now we're trying to move out of perception. And through understanding and learning, we want to become conceptual beings. That's going to take a lot of work.
Also, our mentors have said that there's a lot of frustration that exists as far as spiritual teachers are concerned, because they really want to communicate a higher level of understanding to us. And that is done through the oscillation of thought waves. So oscillating is the undulating up and down wave movement. Thought waves travel on these oscillating waves, just like a radio wave. They're wanting to teach us and to bring us to a higher level of understanding, but we're not listening.
No.
So we need to stop listening to other people.
Yeah. Remember, another human does not have a total higher intelligence than you have. Once you begin to listen to all things, put all things in question and listen, and then you decide. But just don't listen to one person and take their absolute word of truth. You need to look at all sides.
That's right. So the angular learning, again, looking at an event from all sides, looking at an event in retrospect, not the event itself, but what led up to the event, the decisions that were made, the things that were said. All of those things will give you an energetic pathway of how we got to the final event, and that's where the real learning is. Now, we're being told that other cultures outside of the earth have progressed past this point where they don't have to repeat the lessons as often as humans do. And now we're being urged to do the same. Yeah. So we need to start learning how we go about our learning process to be most effectual in coming to a higher level of understanding, so that we don't have to repeat these lessons over and over again.
Yeah, so and to close this out, you have to know peace within yourself before you can know love. Love does not come first. And we hope that you learn the peace, the calmness of self, and then continue on your path. And when you do that, you'll learn love, and those will be attracted to you because of the peace that you have within.
So you really can't love all that is if there is this constant turmoil within. And so that comes from an acceptance of others and their belief systems, and that we progress in a constant evolution of understanding.
So that we recommend you go back to the book if you have it.
Yes, and so the blog will be attached to this video also on our mailing list. If you wish to be on that mailing list, visit our website at verdience.com, and at the bottom you can sign up for our newsletter. You can sign up for these. We'll automatically send these videos out to you, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on Twitter, and we're in the process of trying to figure out how to do Zoom, but also not so much Zoom, but loading it up onto Facebook. That's in the works. So anyway, peace be with you on your journey to truth, and remember to keep an open mind, but also be discerning.
Okay, have a great week.
Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye now.